How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, February 28th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. And for this episode of The Elite, I plan on doing an elite individual profile for Luka Doncic, the elite starting guard for the Dallas Mavericks, who now in his third season will be a two-time NBA All-Star starter. And of course, he is putting together an amazing start to what could be one of the greatest NBA careers of all time. But with that said, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background, and I believe the stats and the accomplishments and the accolades just speak for themselves as to why I think that Luka Doncic is an elite player to keep your eye on for the 2021 calendar year. And of course, as his career continues to grow, he's definitely going to be a player who just adds on to it year after year. And that's what I'm hoping on, especially with how I do this show. But with that said, if you're not familiar with Luka Doncic, he's a 6'7" Slovenian forward. And if I can compare his game to anyone else, he's really kind of like a right-handed James Harden. He can score from anywhere on the court. He has amazing footwork, despite he's not as necessarily athletic as the NBA's most athletic players, but he's incredibly savvy. He's incredibly intelligent. He's one of the best passers in all of basketball. Amazing dribbler. He always finds a way to score. And I just think the fact that he doesn't have to rely on his athleticism so much is what makes it, which is what I think is going to make him a very unstoppable player in the future, because he is dominating players that are more athletic than him at the same position. So just to give a little bit of background, he's originally from Slovenia, and just as a teenager, if you're familiar with how soccer prospects are groomed in Europe, he eventually would play for the youth team for Real Madrid. And he played in the Spanish league, and it would take him a second to get promoted. He eventually played for Real Madrid. He was a full-time member of the official Real Madrid squad, but he was about 16. And it wouldn't be until about his third season with Real Madrid, until he was about 17, 18, when he would come up and become the MVP for the ACB. He's the best young player in the ACB, which is the best league in Spain. He would be the EuroLeague Rising Star for the second year in a row, becoming the third back-to-back winner. He won the EuroLeague MVP after averaging 16 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. But basically, what you would expect from a European phenom playing at Real Madrid. In the couple of years he was there, he earned his way onto the all-decade team for the EuroLeague, just to give a sense of how great he was in the very short time that he was there. So, within the EuroLeague, he established himself as a good enough prospect to be taken third overall in the 2018 NBA draft by the Atlanta Hawks. But literally, like a couple of minutes after he was drafted, he would eventually get traded to the Dallas Mavericks for the rights to Trae Young and then a future first-round pick that would end up being Cam Reddish. And they're both on the Atlanta Hawks. So Luka Doncic would end up playing his entire career, at least thus far, with the Dallas Mavericks. And even before he got there, this man was already a EuroLeague champion. And the NBA had a good idea of what this player was going to be, but at the same time, they had no idea. So going into Luka Doncic's rookie season, in his age 19 season, he would start all 72 of the games that he would play in a season where the Dallas Mavericks would finish with a 33-49 record. That would be the second worst record in the Western Conference, but of course, Luka Doncic within that season would go on to average 21.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as just over a steal a game. Of course, staying within his professional stride, continuing his excellence from the EuroLeague to the NBA. In this season, in the 72 games he played, he would shoot 42.7% from the field, 32.7% from three, and then he would shoot 71% from the free throw line. His percentages, of course, would get better, but of course in that season, averaging 21 points, almost 8 rebounds, and 6 assists, that goes down as one of the best seasons in history. And he would go on to win the Rookie of the Year, even though the Dallas Mavericks would not even come close to the playoffs. But of course, Luka Doncic starting to show the NBA, of course, what he's made of. And in that rookie season, it would come down to him and Trae Young at the very end, but Luka Doncic got 98, or he got all but maybe 2 of the first place votes. So, it was kind of an open and shut case because he started the season off so well, even though Trae had a better second half of the season that would end up going to Luka. And I think that's what started sort of not really a rivalry, but kind of a side-by-side comparison, because he and Trae Young start their careers at roughly the same time, and they were the two players from the draft that got traded for each other. And thus far, I think they're the only two players from that draft class to have been all-stars yet. Don't take my word for that one. I'm pretty sure about that one. And then this would, of course, transition into his second year with Dallas after he had already established himself as a Rookie of the Year candidate, or as the Rookie of the Year winner, I'm sorry. He would go on to start 61 of the games in a season where the Dallas Mavericks would make it to the playoffs in a shortened season. They finished with the seventh best record in the Western Conference. And in that season where Luka Doncic would help them make it to the playoffs, he would average 28.8 points, 9.4 rebounds, 8.8 assists. He averaged a steal per game, shooting 46% from the field, which was he went up from 42.7 the previous year to 46.3. And three-point percentage, he went down from 32.7 to 31.6. And from the free throw line, he went up from 71.3% to 75.8%, all at the same time. He'll be named in his age 20 season, by the way. He would be named an all-star starter for the very first time in his career. I think that happened maybe either before or after he turned 21. And he would go on to clinch his first ever All-NBA first team nomination. And so far, I mean, since they haven't named it for this year, this is the only time he's been named to the All-NBA first team. But I imagine he'll be named to an All-NBA team by the end of this year by the way he's playing. And just by the way, even though they made the playoffs, they would end up losing in the first round to the Clippers. That would end up losing to, I believe, the Nuggets, who ended up losing to the Lakers. That won the whole thing. But of course, Luka Doncic was very prominent in being one of the reasons that the Dallas Mavericks got there. And even in the playoffs, he put up an incredible, even in his first playoff season, he would end up putting he would end up putting an amazing performance. In his playoff debut, he scored 42 points. That's the most any NBA player has ever scored in an NBA playoffs debut. He also became the youngest player in NBA history with a 40-point triple-double when he ended up winning in overtime against the Clippers. So I mean, words cannot put. I cannot put into words what this young player has been able to do. Even the fact that like most players in their prime can't even put up that production, it speaks a lot. He would finish fourth in the final MVP results, and he would be the second youngest player to ever finish in the top 5 of the MVP voting. And that's just the start. That was his last full season in the NBA. And giving a quick look into what he's doing right now, he started all 31 of the games that he's played this season for a Dallas Mavericks team that's currently seeding 9th in the NBA Western Conference. They've won 7 of their last 10 games thanks to Luka Doncic being able to turn the team's success around, and along with other players, but mostly Luka Doncic. They're sitting currently a game and a half out of the playoff picture behind the 8th place Denver Nuggets. And I know they're on the outside looking in, and especially with a very strong Western Conference. And of course, I wouldn't be the person that would count Luka Doncic out this season. Right now, he's averaging 28.5 points per game this season, which is a hair lower than it was last season. But right now, he's 7th in the league in scoring, behind names like Zach LaVine, Giannis, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, and Bradley Beal. At the same time, he's also averaging 9 assists a game, which is behind James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Trae Young, all elite players who are all playing the point guard position as well as him. And at the same time, he's also averaging 8.4 rebounds as well. Less rebounds than he was before, but he's averaging more assists than he was last year too, averaging about 1 steal, 0.7 blocks per game, which is more than he did the previous 2 seasons. From the field, he's shooting 47.5%, which is an increase from 46.3 the previous season. His 3-point shooting percentage is going up from 31.6 to 35.1 at the current moment. From the free throw line, he's going from 75.8 to 75.9, so it's not that much of a difference. But with what he's doing, I think it is an understatement to say that he is an elite player. But of course, his career is only getting started. He may go down as one of the greatest all time. Of course, barring any injury or just kind of anything else really going on. But Luka Doncic, for what he's been able to do, what he's been able to accomplish up into his age 22 year, it's kind of no shock to say that, no, it's no shock. It's not really an understatement to say that he's one of the best players in the NBA right now, and he just turned 22. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to all of this piece. The only reason this thing is so short is because he's only played 2 full seasons in the NBA. He has a lot more to show for it. He has a lot more to add down the line. But as it stands, he's one of the youngest players to, he's, for what he's been able to do in his very short career, is nothing. It's nothing short of just spectacular, amazing. At 22, he currently owns the Dallas Mavericks franchise record of triple doubles, breaking Jason Kidd's record in just 122 games when he did. He owns 4 of the 6 triple doubles recorded by teenagers in NBA history. He has the most triple doubles in a season before turning 22, previously held by Ben Simmons. He's the youngest player in the NBA to outright lead the league in triple doubles. That was a record previously held by Magic. Just reading these off Wikipedia, by the way. He has 20 straight games with at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. He is the first player since Tim Duncan to be selected to the All-NBA first team in his second season in the NBA. He has the third fewest games to reach 4,000 career points since the ABA-NBA merger. The only 2 players with fewer were Michael Jordan and Shaq. So, with the company that this player is in, not to mention all the other records that he holds, I think the numbers speak for themselves. I think the accolades that he's been able to achieve, even up until now, the fact that he's been an All-NBA first team in his second season in the NBA, which means he's a top 5 player in the NBA, and he very well might make it to the first or second team this year. Like I said, I'll keep saying it again. It speaks for itself. And with that said, I want to thank everyone once again just for listening to all 11, 12 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. If you ever get a chance, check out my boy Agent 007 or just 77 on the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Magic, just anything. Paul Pierce named him. Too easy. Too many nicknames. But if you ever get a chance, check out Luka Doncic. He's currently wearing number 77 with the Dallas Mavericks. And you very well might see him in the playoffs. You may see him in a championship one day, holding up he's going to hold up a lot of trophies before it's said and done. But as of right now, just watch out. I definitely think that he's an elite player for the 2021 calendar year, and I think that clock is still going on. I have no idea when it's going to run out. With that said, for the last time, I want to thank you once again for listening to all 13 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well, and those are all of my individual profiles for the month of February. For tomorrow, I will do individual profiles on Wander Franco, the elite MLB prospect for the Tampa Bay Rays, who's been the number 1 overall prospect for the last 2 years, even though he's been a teenager. And then Tyreek Hill, the fastest man in the NFL, who turns 27 tomorrow. So once again, thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and I will catch you tomorrow. Peace out.